Welcome, brothers and sisters, to the MeherBaba program. I'm Fred Stankus, along with my co-host, Suhas Ginde. Welcome, Suhas.
Thank you.
Last week, we covered MeherBaba and the 1952 area of July, the time of July in Scarsdale, New York, where Baba was recuperating from an automobile accident he suffered in the heartland of America in Oklahoma, Pride. And Baba gave some wonderful messages. But now we fast forward in the same year, but now Baba is back home in India, in Ahmednagar. In 1952, Baba is back at his Meherabad and Meherazad, his residence in Meherazad, and he's recuperating. His leg is still being mended, and he's walking around with a cane or crutches.
He's in a cast.
He's in a cast still. And so Baba was giving discourses to his mandali or disciples, and on a November day, with his disciples near him, he gave the following discourse on knowledge.
On real knowledge. After these assignments were made, Baba made some assignments from the mandali. Baba dictated the following discourse on knowledge, on jnana. Knowledge, on jnana, is a thing that even after endless evolutionary forms, it is very difficult to attain. But it could even be grasped in a fraction of a second, such as knowledge. Imagination is so strong and its scope is so infinite that you can imagine anything. You can imagine a rat with 1,000,000 heads. One can imagine oneself to be a king. The universe is the outcome of imagination. But in the end, there is a check. Imagination cannot reach eternity. There's no question of time in eternity. The thing which has no beginning, that thing which has no beginning and no end, how can it be limited by time? What was in the beginning? But when there is no beginning, how can there be a beginning at all? Any amount of imagination cannot think about infinity. This knowledge comes within a second, though even after an infinite number of forms, it cannot be grasped. When it comes in a second. What is knowledge? Vedanta, which cannot reach it, explains it. We can compare God to a boundless, shoreless ocean. We're all drops in the ocean. We can imagine drops and ocean, but we cannot imagine jnana. What is it that we cannot imagine? It is a thing where there is no beginning and no end. This is jnana. The only thing that we cannot imagine is what is beyond beginning and what is beyond the end. No one is able to grasp this. Even the rishis and munis, these are the holy men, are baffled. Hafiz, a Sufi, I believe he was in Persia. Hafiz says the falcon of knowledge can never be caught in the net of imagination. So fold this net, for therein you catch nothing but emptiness. Only sadgurus or perfect masters can give this knowledge in a split second. Taking into consideration what Hafiz has said, we come to the conclusion that however deeply we may think about what is beginningless beginning, we're unable to grasp it or explain it. In the beginning there was God, and before God there was God, and before God there was God. What is in the end? God. And after that, God. Through the medium of intellect, This cannot be explained because there the imagination is baffled and mind and intellect cannot do anything. Mind is strong in imagination, and through the imagination of the mind, the whole world is created and conducted. But where the imagination of the mind gets obstructed, there is jnana. And for imagination to go, mind must go. But consciousness must be retained. So where is jnana? Where the power of imagination ends, there is jnana. It can be called swayambhu, automatic. It comes from God of its own accord. The knowledge of God means infinite power, bliss, beauty, and everything. Then instantaneously everything is absolutely clear in the twinkling of an eye. What is your own swayambhu, jnana, automatic knowledge? It is that you know that you are a human being. This knowledge is not intellectual. You know you are a man, yet you do not think about this, you do not doubt this. A woman knows that she is a woman. It is self-knowledge of womanhood. Such knowledge can be termed as swayambhu. In the same way, there is divine swayambhu. This knowledge is real knowledge. He who has this knowledge not only sees himself in everything and everywhere, but lives the very life of God. This knowledge cannot be gained even after practicing sadhana for billions of years and lives without the help of a sadguru. Without a contact with a perfect master, union is not possible. But such contact too is possible in very rare cases. But again, this is union and not jnana.
You know, it's amazing. He says even if millions of years and lives of practicing a sadhana, for that...
Sadhana means spiritual.
Yeah, for that long, without the help of a sadguru, you still can't get this jnana and this knowledge. I mean, it is utterly unbelievable, and I love this swayambhu. That should be
automatic.
I'd like to make a T-shirt.
Swayambhu.
Swayambhu. It means automatic knowledge.
Like right now, your swayambhu knowledge is the fact that you are a man, that your name is Fred, and that you work at such and such place, that you are living in such and such place, you have a wife named such and such person, and so that is your automatic knowledge. So who are you?
That's my swayambhu.
You would say swayambhu means what is intrinsic to your nature.
Let's give the spelling. SWAYAMBHU.
Yeah.
Swayambhu.
It is an Indian word that means what is
automatic knowledge.
What is
swayambhu
self-knowledge.
Swayambhu jnana. And jnana is spelled D-N-Y-A-N. Swayambhu D-Y
pronounced
D-N-Y-A-N.
Jnana means knowledge.
So my swayambhu jnana is me, who I think I am.
It's the knowledge of your name.
So my automatic knowledge thinks I'm me.
Of your own
my own being.
But you don't know that you are more than that.
Yeah, divine swayambhu.
That's different.
And there's very rare people or very souls who have divine swayambhu, who are aware of the divinity.
The perfect masters and the avatar would have that kind of knowledge. Well, as Baba says, there are 56 realized beings on the planet at all times? Those people would have swayambhu knowledge. But those people do not use it. They don't have a function. It's just the perfect masters and the avatar can use this knowledge to benefit humanity. So there's only 5 people that have in the world
have divine swayambhu.
Have this knowledge. It's called the real knowledge.
So it's pretty hard to get that.
It doesn't come automatically, like as he says.
Millions and millions of births.
But millions of lifetimes and births is what brought you here. Those lives don't really exist. They're all illusion. When you get this knowledge, every lifetime that you live to get to this point, to that point where you receive realization, is 0. Only the unity.
So in other words, it's like Baba was speaking about imagination. Imagination is multifarious, and you could have millions of imaginational ideas, but the point of it is, they're all zero when imagination is gone.
All of creation is an illusion, according to Baba. If God is the only reality, everything else is illusion. We are swimming in this ocean of Maya or illusion, and that's what we are focused on.
So even the material forms that we see, basically solid forms as stone or an automobile or a house, those are illusion.
Everything that you imagine, whether you can imagine yourself living on an island, under the ocean, in a submarine, living on another planet, going there by right. You can imagine anything, or you can imagine yourself as a king, a rat with 1,000,000 heads, anything. Imagine yourself as a beggar, whatever you want to believe in, or whatever you want to imagine. But that is not knowledge. That's not real knowledge. That's only knowledge of what you know. Your swayambhu knowledge is limited.
You know, this next paragraph is really key. Please go to that one. God is alone.
That's what I said a little while back. God alone is real. Everything else is in God.
No, stop right there. God alone is real. Everything else is in God.
Yes, the creation comes
So
out
the God who is the creation itself is real, and all this imagination inside of it.
No, it is the imagination.
Everything else is in God.
The imagination of God and His power, His energy creates illusion, which is not real.
So everything else is in God. Read on. We are
one with Him, but due to ignorance, Maya it's called Maya in Vedanta, is a principle of ignorance. We experience separation. We feel we are separated from Him. But this separation in turn is necessary to realize our oneness with Him. Now, because we're already one with this swayambhu knowledge, it cannot be given by God. How can He give you something which you already have? You follow me? Once this knowledge of God, which is called swayambhu, individualized, is gained, one can impart that knowledge to anyone. Jnana is already there in everyone, but who is to give it?
Oh, I see. So, we have the swayambhu, but we don't know it.
We are ignorant of it. We are caught up in other things. How much money to make, how to live.
But you see what Baba said. You have to find someone to give it, someone to unveil the...
That's it. To remove the veil that blocks
That's
it.
who the avatar is.
No, that's who the avatar's function. That's what the avatar's function is, to release that knowledge out of you.
To give you your swayambhu.
Everybody has that knowledge within them, but it's hidden. It's
the
like
swayambhu.
Yeah, this divine knowledge that's automatic.
I love that word, sorry if I'm overusing it.
God, He just said that you are one with God, but separated by your ignorance. You see? So if God is in you, realization comes only when you unveil that divinity that's within you. Each and every one of us has that within us. Everyone, He's in each and every one, the good and the bad. So when you say something about somebody else that you do not like, you're attacking the God within them too.
So you're actually enforcing illusion even more.
Correct.
In other words, it's illusory what's going on, and you're reacting to the illusion.
You're creating more ignorance.
More illusion.
More ignorance. And what the avatars and the sadgurus do is to remove that illusion, remove that ignorance, and make you see what you really are.
You see, what creates this is binding. When people get attached to something like position, say, of power, and somebody criticizes them, they strike back at that person because of their attachment to the power or attachment to a job. You follow me? Or a position. You see, but that's the frailties of the human species.
So we are human.
Right.
And
but
what
I'm saying, though, but the wise person with swayambhu is going to say, hey, I'm not going to bash that person. I know basically what...
If he is aware of a higher being to whom he is attached to, he will automatically look at this as just a passing thing. He will not get attached to it. Like if something happens in the world, and he reacts to it, rather than focusing on the divinity within him, which is outwardly manifested by the avatar. He is the outward manifestation in a human form of God. That's what the avatar is. Avatar is God in a human form. 100% aware of his inner being.
But he has the unity consciousness instead
he's one with God.
Of duality consciousness, which we have.
Correct. He has said that.
The unity consciousness means he accepts the good and bad equally and with the same love.
And he also shows love, compassion. He forgives people, their transgressions.
Exactly. Because he knows it's part of the imagination.
He knows it's all part of his game. The whole game is for you to become one with God. And howsoever long it takes, millions of years to get there, he is patient.
So, this makes me think of how rare it is when a soul does have this tremendous desire and focus to be one with God. You were just talking to me in the green room earlier about when a person gets on fire to have this. Anybody could say anything to him, and he just is not interested. He is so on fire to be one with God.
Yeah, what I said was that once you get this, when you get to see this beautiful inner being
of all.
Yeah, that's when the heart opens.
Yeah, that's what you said. When the mind gets tired of, like you were saying, a good example. If you had a lot of photographs of avatars or Baba in a room, and the mind sees it every day, and eventually, it sees it.
It just gets fatigued with seeing the vision. He said, when you look at me, this is just a cloak I wear. This is a form.
Right.
He says, I'm not this form that you see. But we, with our intellect and our mental, reservations, we only look at the body and we take it to be real. But when you see the reality beyond the form is only illusory. It's there like for you to look at a mirror. You see your form when you look in the mirror. You want to see a perfection. You want to see the perfection beyond the form. And Baba says when you get tired, the mind gets so tired of seeing externally, and the heart then opens up. The mind gets fatigued. And then Baba says, my love, which is always flowing, then connects with the individual, and then the heart opens. You've read in various sources that God dwells in the heart. He's not talking about the heart, the pump, the organic muscle that pumps blood throughout. He's talking about the heart metaphorically. It's your feeling aspect of the mind. So that's where this divinity and all really is. And then when you become, that's when the union takes place. After all this focusing, remembering Baba all the time with his pictures and so on. You put his pictures in your home, you adorn your everything. You put him in your toilet, whatever. Not to put him down, so to speak, to lift him up. And then he lifts you up. Your heart gets lifted. That's where love is. That's where God is.
We should continue on with this paragraph. God alone is real. Start again.
You want me to repeat that?
Yeah.
God alone is real. Everything else is in God. We are one with Him, but due to ignorance, we experience separation. But the separation in turn is necessary to realize our oneness with Him. See, separation implies longing, gives you the longing to become one with Him. That's where that desire comes in. I want you so bad. Now, because we're already one with this swayambhu knowledge, it cannot be given by God. Once this knowledge of God, which is called swayambhu, individualized, is gained, one can impart that knowledge to anyone. Jnana is already there in everyone, but who is to give it? For that reason, a Sadguru is necessary, but a Sadguru will not give it to just anyone. He cannot give it to one who has not annihilated himself completely. That means he has not annihilated his mind. His mind is still there and it's working.
Because the mind is the storehouse of all the things you've done.
Of all the impressions and your future
good and
karma.
bad, and it could be worldly impressions.
Yeah.
It's got to be ridded.
Because if not, that's when the mind is annihilated, then the heart opens, and that's why God is, love is, truth is in the heart.
And the thing is, people sometimes may be confused when you say annihilating the mind. It's not, annihilating the mind per se in the sense of a physical annihilation. It's an annihilation of...
So the mind is abstract. It's not physical.
Exactly. We're not talking about the brain. We're talking about the part that is abstract, to where... they say when you let go, which is letting go of the mind,
just
divinity comes.
It's there.
Or swayambhu comes.
Yeah.
Swayambhu.
See, it's already there, but you have to open to it. He gives it to one who has surrendered himself 100%, or to one who has a very, very close or deep connection with him. This connection can come from many lifetimes of being with this person, with this knowledge of this divinity, being there. Very close. Sadgurus can give this knowledge in a second, but one who wants this knowledge must have the necessary preparedness. Only then the Sadguru gives help. He does not give this knowledge to those who are unprepared, for in their case it would be like throwing pearls before swine. You've heard that in
of course.
Cast not thy pearls before swine, because the swine will not appreciate it, and they will turn on you and trample on you. So you see, you do not give pearls of wisdom to people who are not prepared.
Well, I mean, we're living in a time right now that is called the Kali Yuga, which is a very time where people aren't, ignorance prevails and so forth, and things are misconstrued. And so if one would bring this truth to somebody who wasn't prepared,
who has no foundation,
they would make a mockery of it, and they would
be just useless. It's like throwing pearls before swine.
Right. They would trample it into the mud.
Quotes, not literally.
Exactly.
They will not, in other words, appreciate it. But one other thing that I wanted to tell you was, when the heart opens, what we were talking about earlier, so once you see the reality beyond the form, when you actually see this divinity as he really is, he says, then no one can stop you from getting that. Remember, we were talking about this.
Once you have a glimpse.
Once you have a glimpse of that reality, he said, no one can hold you back.
It's probably
not even your parents, your wife, your children. Nobody, your best friend, can say, "Oh, you're crazy. Why are you going here?" No, it's something that is so strong. This attraction.
Overwhelming, right?
Yeah, the separation was created so it would create longing, because we're one. It's the first chapter in that everything and the nothing. And then Baba continues and says, in short, that which you cannot imagine is Jnana, which even the Rishis and Munis cannot imagine. When one fails to grasp this divine swayambhu knowledge, how can one grasp the one who has that knowledge? When you come in contact with a jnani, or one who is knowledgeable, who starts explaining it, it means that you are on the way toward jnana. Knowledge cannot be imagined. That which cannot be imagined. Then what of the jnani, possessor of the knowledge? When Vijnana Veshta, divine knowledge, cannot be imagined by the rishis, then what can they imagine about the state of a jnani? Walis, these are saints, from Sufi term means friend of God, can give the shadow of that knowledge, either by touch, gaze, or by placing their hand on the head of anyone they like. But do they place their hand on the head? Why do they place their hand on the head? Because it is the seat of knowledge. So walis, through their tawaja, spiritual power or force, place their hands on the heads of any persons They receive the shadow of the knowledge. Even in that case, bodily consciousness is lost. But this is not jnana. In the Jnaneshwari, it is written that this jnana cannot be gotten except through the intervention of a Sadguru. Jnaneshwara was a perfect master. He lived in Pune. Then this is all about jnana. As for myself, I think love for God is the best avenue to real knowledge. For God alone is worth loving. After completing the discourse in the morning, Baba concluded with the following remarks. Jnana also comes unawares. God is so kind that it is impossible to imagine His unbounded kindness. Some think they have suffered a lot and still God is not showering His grace on them. But the fact is that the necessary preparedness is lacking. Hafiz says, one tip of a hair strand is in my hand, the other in the hand of the friend. Hafiz used friend as the beloved. A tug of war has been going on for years. But when the appointed time comes and the necessary preparedness is there, then jnana comes, irrespective of what the individual is doing at the moment.
In that footnote
And they say
on 3918, I want to read that. What you were saying?
It says, jnana comes irrespective of what the individual is doing at that moment. It has been said that Baba's master, Upasdi Maharaj, and even Sai Baba received God realization while they were attending to the call of nature. So you see, you could be doing something that may seem, not nice, something, and when you get the call, you get realization. It can be anywhere, anytime.
I know. It looks like we're getting the call to wrap up the show.
You want to read that footnote?
Unfortunately, no. Well, this pertains to a tug of war with the hair.
Oh, yeah. The hair strand, is very
right.
thin.
So anyway, thank you, Suhas. We'll continue on with the Lord Meher programs on the Meher Baba program coming up in the future. So until next time, as Meher Baba says,
don't worry and be happy.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.